Hi everyone, here is my early childhood education job interview. My name is Gabriella Reeby. Let's get started. What matters to me as an educator? My philosophy on infant-toddler learning and development. Welcome to this presentation on my teaching philosophy for infant-toddler education. My name is Gabriella Reeby, and I am deeply passionate about fostering the earliest stages of development through research-based nurturing practices. This presentation will outline the 5 core elements that guide my approach to teaching our youngest learners. Each principle is grounded in developmental science, emphasizing relationships, play, communication, cultural responsiveness, and early literacy. I draw from respected sources, including the California Department of Education's Infant/Toddler Learning and Development Guidelines, NAEYC's position statements, and contemporary research from Perez et al.'s Equitable and Joyful Learning from 2023. These frameworks inform my belief that infants and toddlers thrive when educators prioritize emotional security, individualized learning, and family partnerships. By the end of this presentation, you'll understand how my philosophy translates into daily classroom practices and why these approaches are critical for laying a strong foundation for lifelong learning. I invite you to reflect on how these principles align with your program's values and how we might collaborate to create an enriching environment for the children in your care. Introduction. As an infant-toddler educator, I view my role as both a guide and co-learner, supporting children as they explore the world with innate curiosity. My philosophy is shaped by decades of research confirming that the first 3 years of life are a period of unparalleled brain growth, where responsive interactions and enriching experiences profoundly impact cognitive, social-emotional, and linguistic development. This is from both the California Department of Education, the CDE, and the National Association for the Education of Young Children, NAEYC. The 5 pillars of my approach responsive relationships, play based learning, language rich environments, cultural inclusivity, and emergent literacy are interwoven to create holistic, joyful learning experiences. For example, when I narrate a diaper change, I will say something along the lines of, I'm lifting your feet to wipe you. Thank you for helping. I'm simultaneously building trust, modeling language, and honoring the child's agency. This is from the Perez article. These intentional practices stem from my commitment to equitable education, ensuring that each child's unique needs, strengths, and cultural backgrounds are celebrated. In the following slides, I'll delve into each element, showing practical examples from my teaching and highlighting how they align with best practices in early childhood education. Element 1. Relationships and responsive caregiving. Secure, attuned relationships are the cornerstone of infant-toddler development, serving as the foundation for all future learning. This is from the CDE 2009. Research in developmental neuroscience underscores that consistent warm interactions with caregivers shape brain architecture, fostering emotional regulation and resilience. This is from the National Science Council on the Developing Child 2020. In my classroom, I prioritize responsive caregiving by observing and interpreting subtle cues like a baby's gaze, aversion signaling overstimulation, or a toddler's clenched fist indicating frustration, and responding in ways that validate their emotions. So you should say something like, you're feeling upset because the block fell. Let's try it together. The serve and return dynamic emphasized by Harvard Center on the Developing Child from 2020 builds trust and self-efficiency. I extend this philosophy to family partnerships, conducting home visits and daily conversations to align caregiving practices across settings. This is from the NAEYC. For example, when a family shares that their child calms to a specific lullaby, I incorporate it into nap time routines. My strength lies in creating a holding environment where children feel emotionally safe to explore, knowing I am a steady presence. This approach aligns with the program for infant Toddler Care (PITC) model, which highlights primary caregiving and continuity as best practices. This is from the CDE 2009. Element 2. Play as a primary learning mode. Play is a primary vehicle through which infants and toddlers construct knowledge about the world, fostering cognitive, motor, and socio-emotional growth. This is from the CDE 2009 and the NAEYC. Grounded in Piaget's sensory-motor stage theory and Vygotsky's social learning framework, my classroom design prioritizes open-ended, sensory-rich materials that invite exploration at each child's developmental level. Some examples of this would be Scarves for Peekaboo, nesting cups for problem solving. I embrace the Head Start Early Learning Outcomes Framework, emphasis on active learning, where children lead discoveries while adults scaffold. So an example of what we could say is, you suck 2 blocks. What happens if you add another? For example, during water play, I observe a toddler's fascination with pouring and introduce vocabulary, such as full, empty, splash, to extend their learning. This is from the Press article 2023, Chapter 16. My strength lies in curating environments that balance challenge and mastery, such as offering both wobble cushions for new walkers and stable platforms for crawlers, ensuring all children experience flow, a state of engaged focus. I document these moments through photos and anecdotal notes, sharing them with families to highlight the learning embedded in play. This practice aligns with the CDE's 2009 guidelines, which caution against overly structured activities, advocating instead for intentional spontaneity, where teachers follow children's interests while steadily guiding learning goals. Element 3. Language and communication development. My approach to language development integrates strategies from all 5 core references to create a communication-rich environment. The California Department of Education 2009 emphasizes that language develops through meaningful interactions, which informs my practice of narrating daily routines and responding to infants' vocalizations. NAEYC's guidelines on developing appropriate practice shape how I scaffold communication, from imitating babbling with young infants to using simple signs with toddlers. Press et al.'s 2023 Chapter 14 research on what to teach before talking guides my focus on nonverbal communication skills like joint attention and turn-taking, which are foundational for later language development. The Head Start webisode 7 demonstrates how to arrange environments that promote conversation, inspiring my use of low mirrors at diaper-changing areas to facilitate face-to-face interactions. Finally, insights from the CDE's 2009 research, pages 37 to 57, on early learning confirm the importance of repetition in language acquisition, which explains why I patiently name objects countless times during play. These 5 sources collectively validate my multilingual approach that honors home languages while building English proficiency through songs, stories, and responsive dialogues that begin from children's earliest days. Element 4. Culturally responsive practices. My implementation of culturally responsive teaching synthesizes principles from all 5 foundational references. The California Department of Education 2009 guidelines stress that cultural continuity between home and school supports infant development, which guides my practice of incorporating family's tradition into daily routines. NAEYC's position on equity informs my commitment to anti-bias education, ensuring materials reflect diverse family structures and culture practices. Press et al.'s 2023 Chapter 16 provides specific strategies for honoring linguistic diversity, such as labeling shells in children's home languages alongside English. The Head Start webisode 7 demonstrates how to create inclusive environments, inspiring my classroom's family photo wall and culturally representative dolls. The CDE's 2009 research, pages 37 to 57, on early learning reminds me that cultural patterns shape children's expectations about social interactions, helping me interpret behaviors more accurately. Together, these sources guide my approach of partnering with families through home visits, daily conversations, and shared caregiving practices that respect each family's cultural values while maintaining program standards for health and safety. Element 5, Emergent Literacy Foundations. My emergent literacy practices integrate research from all 5 key sources to create a print-rich, language-filled environment. The California Department of Education 2009 guidelines emphasize that literacy begins with sensory exploration, which explains why I offer board books with varied textures alongside traditional storybooks. NAEYC standards inform my use of developmentally appropriate literacy materials like chunky crayons for early mark making. Press et al.'s 2023, Chapter 18, research on supporting the emergent literacy skills of infants and toddlers guided my practice of incorporating literacy into routines, such as pointing to names and cubbies during arrival time. The Head Start Webisode 7 demonstrates environmental print strategies that I adapt, like labeling real objects. An example of this would be chair at children's eye level. Finally, the CDE's 2009 research, pages 37 to 57, on early learning confirms the importance of oral language as the foundation for literacy, which explains why I prioritize conversation and storytelling, even with pre-verbal infants. These sources collectively validate my approach of making literacy experiences joyful, sensory rich, and embedded in daily activities rather than formal instruction. My unique strengths. My professional strengths integrate competencies identified across all 5 core references. The California Department of Education 2009 highlights observation skills that I've refined through detailed anecdotal records, tracking each child's developmental progress. NEEYC standards inform my ability to design individualized learning experiences that scaffold development while respecting each child's pace. From Perez et al.'s 2023, chapters 14 and 18, I developed specialized skills in fostering early communication and literacy through play-based interactions. The Head Start Webisode 7 enhanced my expertise in creating environments that balance security and challenge with clearly defined interest areas that promote exploration. The CDE's 2009 research, pages 37 to 57, strengthened my understanding of brain development, allowing me to explain developmental principles to families during conferences. These 5 sources collectively validate my unique ability to merge research-based practices with authentic, joyful interactions that honor each child's individuality, while meeting program standards and preparing comprehensive documentation for individualized planning. Conclusion. In conclusion, my teaching philosophy synthesizes essential principles from all 5 foundational references to create a comprehensive approach to infant-toddler education. The California Department of Education 2009 provides a framework for relationship-based care that underpins all my practices. NAEYC standards ensure my methods remain developmentally appropriate and ethically grounded. Perez et al.'s 2023 research offers cutting-edge strategies for equitable language and literacy development. The Head Start Webisode 7 informs my intentional classroom design that promotes independence and exploration. Finally, the CDE's 2009 research, pages 37 to 57, deepens my understanding of how early experiences shape the developing brain. Together, these sources validate my commitment to practices that are simultaneously research-based and responsive to individual children's needs. I welcome the opportunity to bring this integrated approach to your program, collaborating with colleagues and families to create optimal learning experiences for our youngest learners during this critical developmental period. And here are my references. Feel free to jot them down if you want. And thank you for tuning into my presentation. I wish you all the best of luck with your future endeavors. Bye, everyone.